A new report shows the grant from the National Institute of Health for the Wuhan Institute of Virology was never reviewed by the NIH Oversight Board. Here's One America's Jack Posobiec.
Well, One America News has been covering the controversial decision by the U.S. government to fund a grant at the Wuhan Institute of Virology into bat-based coronavirus research since last year. And now a new report suggests that this grant was not approved at the highest levels of the NIH. In a new Daily Caller News Foundation report, Rutgers University professor of chemical biology Richard Ebright said that the National Institute of Health had systematically thwarted supposed government oversight of these programs, supposed to be in place to ensure that the U.S. government is not funding unsafe and banned research such as gain-of-function testing. Interestingly, it seems that the oversight board that was created in 2017 to be a safeguard of these NIH grants going to the controversial testing was actually bypassed in the case of the Wuhan lab. The board is referred to as the P3CO, the Potential Pandemic Pathogens Control and Oversight. The group knew, right in its own name, that such research could lead to a higher risk of pandemic breakout. The board was required to make sure that after the gain-of-function ban was lifted in 2017, that proper procedures would be followed and essentially evaluate whether or not the risky testing was worth it. According to the DCNF, the board bypassed the review because it was not flagged by the head of the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Gain-of-function is defined by the U.S. government as a field of medical research focused on the serial passing of organisms, such as viruses, in test tubes or through animal carriers to affect mutations that would potentially increase their functionality, such as infectious capability and transmission rate in the host species. Ultimately, the U.S. government granted $600,000 to the Wuhan Institute of Virology for research into bat-based coronaviruses through a nonprofit group called the EcoHealth Alliance, which studies the bat coronaviruses. Of course, this all means that the review never occurred, and that increased biosecurity measures and containment risks were never assessed for the lab in China. Ultimately, the grant may have even been denied due to these deficiencies in Wuhan, if it ever actually had been reviewed. Now, back in 2018, the U.S. State Department warned that the Wuhan lab was not practicing adequate safety and that its research practices could lead to a new pandemic rivaling SARS. The Wuhan lab's research did include gain-of-function testing. Now, the president of EcoHealth is none other than Peter Daszak, one of the top experts on the WHO's investigation team of the Wuhan lab, and the sole American on the team. Now, to be clear, Daszak has been extremely vocal in Western media that his colleagues at the Wuhan lab, which include Batwoman Shizheng Li, had nothing whatsoever to do with the COVID-19 outbreak. President Trump ended EcoHealth's funding for the Wuhan lab after learning about the connection in 2020. But it remains to be seen why Peter Daszak was allowed on the investigation team when he had a clear conflict of interest, as he was the one who was supposed to be overseeing the funding. For One American News, I'm Jack Posobiec.